got DJ Academics. We got World War III happening. And we got Jason Black on. Iran, Palestine, Israel, all of them throwing bombs everywhere in real life. We got OJ, the Black Authority, speaking about OJ Simpson. And we got another war going on in hip-hop. Rick Ross just laid everything closed, cut, sealed, a serious jab out of left field. Drake dropped the track, and Rick Ross shut him down from fucking with Kendrick Lamar. Kendrick Lamar was supposed to reign supreme on Drake. Drake sounded off a little bit. DJ Academics is deep into it. Casino for Life is deep into it, so y'all can watch their channels. But I'm going to listen to the Black Authority. It's the Trap God, KOD Testimonies. Let's get to it. First of all, concern about a woman he was.
Brown Simpson used to be his wife, and let's be very clear, she lived in a very expensive neighborhood. Yeah, but he wasn't going to have to pay your lifestyle forever. Them kids getting a little bit older, and he will not have to pay your lifestyle forever. So she had been out there hustling them draws. Okay. I'm not talking out of turn here. Nicole Brown Simpson had been entertaining the company of various men. And O.J. Simpson was not cool with her bringing that behavior in the damn house that he was paying for. In front of his kids. The famous 911 call that she supposedly made. And he was like, hey, you in front of my kids with this hoeing. You in front of my kids with this.
Nigga, nah.
That was the issue. So much for not being a proper father. He was like, hey, you in front of my kids with all this.
Where's Bob?
That woman was sitting up here calling this man, wanting money and every damn thing else. Yes, with her drug problem. With an active drug problem. Got pictures of her with dudes all over the place. Yeah. Now, while it is not clear what her relationship to Ron Goldman was, and very clearly, at best, he was in the wrong place at the wrong time, the bottom line is, fellas, you gotta watch out with the chicks you hang out with. Because if she's telling herself that chivalry will protect her when her criminal friends come around, that's the issue. The kids were in the house. Mama wasn't fighting and arguing with nobody. But it was obviously somebody came up in there that she knew. So O.J. Simpson wasn't with the woman. He doing his thing. And they're claiming that just one evening out of nowhere, he decides to go over there to her house, unprovoked, kill the woman, and try to make it to the airport in enough time to get on a plane. What the hell? Let me tell y'all, I have driven to LAX, boy, what, 7 or 8 times in my life? Anybody who's had to hit the freeway to go to LAX knows that that ain't no easy. You don't wait till the last damn minute to go to the airport in Los Angeles. Not unless you just want to miss your flight. Los Angeles is not a place where you try to speed your way to the damn airport. That ain't the place to do it. You don't play no games with LAX. The freeway in LA is no joke. None whatsoever. But they telling you that O.J. Simpson, all the way from Brentwood, O.J. Simpson gonna cut it at the last minute. He gonna cut it down to the last minute. So you have to believe that too. That he took his clothes with him, allegedly, although they're not sure about that. But maybe he took some of them and didn't take others. What? What kind of haphazard planning is this? So he goes over there to the place and he's killing the wife, and either Ron Goldman is there or Ron Goldman walks up and Ron Goldman is in the middle of it too. Ron Goldman was not a little dude. This guy guy was a model. He went to the gym. He was in very good physical condition. He was a tall fella. He was like, what, 6'3"? Ron Goldman was not no little dude. Ron Goldman was not damn me Tom Cruise. No offense to Tom. Ron Goldman was a big dude. He wasn't some little female. And you telling me that a young man in his prime, all O.J. Simpson was able to handle him? First of all, if you did walk up and you see some dude sitting up here stabbing chick, ain't you gonna run? Hey, he's got a knife. They saying that didn't happen. Okay, so all of a sudden we got damn me Neo from the Matrix. He's throwing the knife and he's slashing people and he's picking it back up again and chopping. What the hell is this? Ron Goldman had defensive wounds all over himself. O.J. Simpson had one errant cut. One. Now, if somebody was fighting for their damn life, are you telling me that O.J. Simpson was armored? Because that's what you would be telling us. Ron Goldman got cuts all over him. O.J. Simpson only has one minor abrasion. And O.J. Simpson doesn't have a scratch on him otherwise. This is the super nigga story. Y'all know full damn well you couldn't do nothing like that unless you had two people with you. You would have needed two people. One to grab Nicole and keep her quiet. The other one, you probably needed two or three people because you're going to need one to grab her, keep her quiet if you're trying to kill her at the same time. And you're going to need a couple of men to grab Ron Goldman and quietly kill him. You killed two people quietly. One middle-aged white female and one prime-age white male with an athletic build, and you killed both of them quiet as kept silently? Tell me the scenario that makes sense for one man to do by himself. Silently. No, you gotta have help. And it was not convenient to point the finger at anybody else because they want to sit up here and thumb their nose, thumb us in the eye as black people in general. So you believe that O.J. Simpson just got up after a couple of years and not worrying about anything right there? He's so worried about his ex-wife, we're going to go kill her on the way to the damn airport because that's convenience. So in other words, nobody will find her for a few days. And of course, why would anybody suspect me? Both of them got killed quiet as kept. O.J. doesn't have but one scratch on him. Don't worry, makes perfect sense. That's what they expect you to believe. Right there. Then the trial comes up. And what happened was during the trial, O.J. Simpson's defense team did something that's supposed to happen every damn where, but it doesn't. You go off and go get you the damn public defender. All that bastard's trying to do is hurry up and get you to take a plea bargain. Here, take this life sentence. I gotta go play golf. O.J. Simpson actually had a real defense team. And they were sitting up here showing footage on TV, showing the damn investigators walking through the damn crime scene, walking through the blood and saying, hey, that's proper police work? Because they've been treating every other black male who's been through the court system, they telling you, oh, well, that's proper police work. That is the very definition of a contaminated crime scene, but when they handed you your sentence, they said that was proper police work. OJ actually has some lawyers who weren't going to be a damn fool and say, hey, that's not proper police work. That is not proper police work at all. If you all agree that the O.J. Simpson was found innocent because he actually had competent defense, give me the scales of justice emoji in the chat room and hit the likes button for me. It's over 3,500 people in here live in just the first 20 minutes. We got a lot of ground to cover, so I hope I'm allowed to cover it tonight. But if you agree that O.J. Simpson was found innocent, not because he had slick lawyers, but because he actually had proper legal representation, Give me the scales of justice emoji in the chat room and hit the likes button for me. They have been allowed to get away with flirting and skirting the law for so long that they said, oh well, this is just the way we do things. They're showing all these people walking through the crime scene and telling you everything's fine, everything's great, nothing out of the ordinary here. He actually had lawyers who asked real damn questions for a change. And what that did was it simply highlighted the reason why so many black folk and black men in particular end up in prison. Because if you get the best justice in America that money can buy, and if you're black, you only have a snowball's chance if you can afford something. But at least they're asking questions. So you couldn't just railroad the man. They were turning over every stone. They were pulling over every leaf. They were digging up every ounce of evidence they could possibly get. They didn't call it a dream team because they were fantastic attorneys, even though Johnny Cochran was spectacular. It was the dream team because these were attorneys who actually did their damn job. And you're not used to seeing a black man have a legal team. It's supposed to be a paperwork process when we walk into court. When black folk walk into court, if the suspect is white and the victim is black, it's supposed to be a paperwork process. Stamp that, Carolyn Bryant, your black ass dead, we all going home. And if the suspect is black and the victim is white, once again, it's supposed to be a paperwork process. We're supposed to just walk in, stamp it, and send your ass to jail for life or the electric chair, no questions asked. That's what it's supposed to be. That's what it's supposed to be. When you have a situation like this occur, where a black man walks in there and they have accused you, you're supposed to be just the most likely suspect. Oh well, most likely suspect, you're going to take this most likely life sentence. OJ's team went in there and asked questions that everybody was supposed to be asking. Now, what I want to do for you all here first is I want to show you something first. I want to show for you everyone's favorite suspected white supremacist newscaster, Megyn Kelly, a woman who should be smart enough to realize to shut the hell up, but unfortunately she's not. She should be smart enough to recognize to just shut her mouth, and she doesn't. But what she does do is she does perfectly illustrate that these folks are still holding a grudge. They are still upset after all this time, and you'll hear why.
Prosecution that Nicole Brown Simpson was nearly decapitated. So brutal was the attack that she suffered. OJ's lawyer, Johnny Cochran, of course, famously, if it doesn't fit, you must acquit. You know the phrase, thanks to him. Saying that gloves found at the scene could not possibly have been OJ's because when OJ was asked by the prosecution, Chris Darden, Marsha's co-counsel, to try them on, they did not fit. And he made a showing of it. They had been treated, they had been wet, and then they had dried. And
so you see, Megyn Kelly is upset with black folk. She names Chris Darden. You know, the black dude that the prosecution chose to help Marsha Clark. So we didn't make this a racial issue. They made it a racial issue, and they still are. They made it a racial issue, and they still are. They're still smarting over it and mad to this day.
Gotten smaller. We've heard the lawyers talk about it since as a complete blunder by the prosecution. The judge, Lance Ito, another name known coast to...
Okay, let's go ahead and deal with that real quick too. Yeah, leather can shrink, but we've had a bunch of us who have leather garments and never had that problem either. By the way, I think a number of us have had leather garments, ladies with leather purses and whatnot. That shrinking thing, all of a sudden that became scientific bona fides. So, by the way, that should be taken with a grain of salt, quite honestly. But we're white, we say so, all right.
Coast witnesses, Kato Kalin. Still, most Americans who are Gen Xers at least know these names. In the end, OJ was found not guilty in 1995 in the criminal case in a decision.
Now, did you all hear that?
Chris Darden, Marsha's co-counsel, to try them on. They did not fit, and he made a showing of it. They had been treated, they had been wet, and then they had dried and gotten smaller. We've heard the lawyers talk about it since as a complete blunder by the prosecution. The judge, Lance Ito, another name known coast to coast. Witnesses, Kato Kalin. Still, most Americans who are Gen Xers at least know these names.
Why didn't she mention Detective Mark Furman? What? Now remember, Megyn Kelly is a lawyer, at least she was. While she was rattling off that list of names right now, why didn't she mention the most famous witness of the case? Police Detective Mark Furman. Why didn't she mention him? Why not? Well, I'll show you all why, or at least one reason I suspect here. Why, take a look at Fox News' website. Well, take a look on your screen, everyone. Take a look at Fox News' website. Why, Mark Furman is a former LAPD detective and currently serves as a forensic and crime scene expert for Fox News Channel. Oh, shucky ducky. Well, that kind of explains why Megyn doesn't want to mention the most famous witness of the case, Detective Mark Furman. She mentioned everybody else. Why would you not mention Mark Furman?
In the end, OJ was found not guilty in 1995 in the criminal case in a decision that split the country right in two. Another moment where most of us remember we were when the verdict came down.
Now, Megyn Kelly doesn't talk about the cops who beat Rodney King in that verdict. She doesn't say anything about that. She's not outraged about that. She doesn't put that in its proper context. Nope. Let's just talk about O.J. Simpson.
Yours truly, I had just begun my career as a lawyer. I watched the trial as a third-year law student. Along with everybody else, we were riveted. We would go to our classes in the morning, and then in the afternoon, we'd gather in the student center and watch it on one of those old fat TVs that we were all watching in 1994 before they all got slimlined.
Okay, so she said that she was a third-year law student and she was watching there in her classes. Well, aren't law students supposed to be more tilted towards the defense attorneys, not the prosecutors? Because most likely, if you go into private practice for a firm, you'll be going for a criminal defense firm. You won't be working for the prosecutor's office. And yet she's telling you that they were all law students on the side of the prosecution? What law students go to school to figure out how to be better prosecutors?
And then in 1995 came down the verdict, and we all gathered. This time for me, it was in my law firm. All white lawyers, one black receptionist. And they said, not guilty.
Now think about that for a few moments. You want to hear about racism, ma'am? Your law firm, your law school, that was an exercise in racism, and you just admitted it. All the lawyers are white. There's only one black person in the room, your receptionist. A person with no legal credentials whatsoever, so all the important people are white. The receptionist who answers to all of you is black. Yeah, no racial background for Megyn Kelly.
This time for me, it was in my law firm. All white lawyers, one black receptionist. And they said, not guilty. And the white lawyers stood there stunned. And our black receptionist, who we all loved, was cheering.
Get the fuck out of here. We're not gonna believe
Y'all hear
that.
how she talks about it like the pet?
Right.
All the white lawyers were stunned. I thought you all were law school students or lawyers. The white lawyers were stunned. Our black receptionist, who we all loved, oh, Aunt Jemima.
But get the fuck
She was
out
cheering.
of here,
How
nigga.
is it that she can be
They
cheering and
would've
you all
fired her
and we're
ass
sitting
on
up
the
here
spot.
upset about it? Shouldn't they have seen Johnny Cochran's defense? Shouldn't they all have been like, damn, Johnny Cochran is good. We have to take notice of that. I want to learn how to do that so I can implement that into my legal strategies when I'm out in the courtroom. Why is it that that's not the way they saw that? What kind of lawyers are you that you watch Johnny Cochran put on a master class of criminal legal defense, and your response was not, wow, he's a fantastic lawyer. Your response is, oh man, it's a terrible day. What kind of legal professionals are you? Aren't they supposed to be on the side of a fellow lawyer? Especially when you know for a fact that the American court system is outrageously biased against black men. It's like, oh no, you're like, hey, Johnny Cochran interrupted our lynching. There was supposed to be a lynching going on, and he interrupted the lynching. So all of a sudden, it's not about professionalism, it's not about the law, it's not about being colleagues. All of a sudden, it's about white supremacy. Megyn Kelly, blonde-headed, blue-eyed, even if now she has to buy it in a bottle, but blonde-headed, blue-eyed, and she was saying to herself, I'll be damned, I'm a white woman. All I should have to do is point the finger at one of you black males, and that's supposed to be the end of that. How the hell is it my finger has lost its mojo?
And it was just a microcosm of what was happening all across America at that moment. And one of those moments in which people started to get it, that there was a massive distrust of police, especially within the black community, especially in LA, that the white community wasn't feeling.
That the white community wasn't feeling because they get justice when they walk into a courtroom. When they get found guilty, they're most likely guilty. Let me explain to y'all something. Megyn Kelly is a piece of crap liar. Let me explain to you here why.
To the world.
Anybody in here who has hired a white lawyer for legal defense, if there is a jury for a white defendant, if the defendant, the suspect is white, a white defense lawyer wants to have black people on the jury. This is in every courtroom in every jurisdiction in America. If you are a white criminal defense attorney, you know that if you got black folk on the jury, you're always trying to get black folk on the jury because lawyers everywhere understand that black people are more suspicious of the police and the court system based on our experience. Not based on what we saw on TV, not based on what we heard on the radio, not based on what we read in the comic book. We are more suspicious of the police and the court system based on our daily lives. Every black person got a story about the police and the court system, the police and the court system violating their rights. And every attorney who walks in there knows we do. And any defense attorney who's had to defend more than 5 black people watches the court system violate our rights on a regular basis. Megyn Kelly, if she was a law student, her and all the lawyers there with her already know this. What the hell kind of lawyer would she be if it was time to pick a jury and she's picking all white folk? When all the lawyers are like, you know, you get more black folk on there because they're more likely to swing our way. Prosecutors routinely try to keep black people off of juries. Now, if all of us in here know this, how the hell could 60-year-old Megyn Kelly not know this when she was in law school, when everybody knew this back in the 50s? It has always been the practice of prosecutors to keep black people off the jury. Do not let black people on the jury. They are more suspicious of police and prosecutors. They're more likely to listen to the evidence. They won't just go along with whatever the court system says. The police say the guy is guilty. Oh, well, go along with it. Black people are far less likely to rubber stamp the police. How the hell is it she got a law license and talking about, well, this is just strange that happens. This is textbook. This is every day. And yet she's talking to you slap stone cold crazy. And supposedly they're all lawyers. Well, What lawyer doesn't know that? A lawyer who's saying, by the way, yeah, that's right, except when the verdict don't come down the way we want.
And that this evidence and this case and these accusations, strong as they were being viewed very differently by citizens across this country.
The evidence in the case, quote, strong as it was. So understand, here we are 30 years later with Megyn Kelly rewriting history, plagiarizing and rewriting history and fictionalizing it. Don't worry, I got something for that too.
OJ would later be sued by Ron Goldman's family for wrongful death in a civil court where the burden of proof is lower than it is in a criminal court. And indeed, that jury found him responsible, liable for the double murders in 1997. That was not the end of OJ's legal troubles.
Now, did you all get that? Did you all get that? Now, let's be very, very clear. OJ Simpson was, they ordered him to pay $33 million. When was the last time that a black person was able to sue a white person and get a verdict for $33 million? When's the last time any of us were able to get a verdict for $33 million when we sued somebody civilly? I've had a number of lawsuits. I've never come anywhere in the zip code of 33 million. That's white supremacy right there. You and me can't get a verdict like that. We can't get enough lawyers. We can't have enough motions. We can't suffer enough. We can't have enough injury done to us to get $33 million in judgment against another citizen. Not against a police department, people. Against another citizen.
Talk about it.
That's what I'm trying to remind you of. She didn't say that number right there. She ain't trying to put it in its proper context because she's doing, well, you know, white supremacy.
Many years later, in 2008, he was found guilty of kidnapping and armed robbery related.
He was found guilty for stealing his own damn stuff.
In 2008, he was found guilty of kidnapping and armed robbery related to a sports memorabilia scam that he was running in Las Vegas. The Goldmans were able to garnish his wages forevermore after that verdict, and he was trying to get out of paying, they alleged, and trying to find ways of earning money, potentially off the books. He was sentenced for that crime to 33 years in prison. Many believed.
By the way, 33 again.
What's wrong with you?
You all think this stuff is just symbolic? $33 million with 33 years in prison for stealing your own stuff, which she didn't say there. By the way, is that just all coincidental? Is that all just a coincidence? By the way, my likes are a little bit low here tonight. Folks not liking it. Understand, we got some Megyn Kelly fans in here. I'm going to let them go in just a minute. I just want to touch on a few points here.
The sentence was so hefty, not for that crime, but in payment of an earlier one. He was released in 2017 for good behavior and went on to...
By the way, she doesn't talk about the validity of that. How the hell can you be given 33 years in prison for what? Since when they start doing that? She didn't sit up here and say outrageous sentence, by the way, that has nothing to do with anything there. She's like, okay, we're white and we say so. She's lockstepping on code.
This was so hefty, not for that crime, but in payment of an earlier one. He was released in 2017 for good behavior and went on to have a rather large presence on social media, posting videos like the ones I showed you where he's all smiles, he's in good humor. And that's the thing about O.J. Simpson. His personality was effervescent. There was something likable about the guy. And
y'all liked him back when he said, I'm not black, I'm OJ. Y'all liked him back then, Megyn Kelly. You were one of the bleached blondes who were looking to get on the team. Y'all loved O.J. Simpson back when he was ignoring black people. He could do no wrong. He was your golden boy. Back then. Now all of a sudden, you want to be apoplectic? Look it up. All of a sudden, you want to be outraged? Oh, it's a thin line between love and hate.
the way he related to us all. But But O.J. Simpson, in my view, was a killer.
Lord.
He was a double murderer, just as that civil jury said. And the fact that he had great lawyers who pointed out some failings of the prosecution in its case, that didn't change that. Not for me and not for millions of Americans.
Okay, well, Megyn Kelly, what does it take for a black man to be innocent in your book? Because according to her, George Floyd got what he deserved, and O.J. Simpson did. So if a black man is there any black man who's been accused that Megyn Kelly doesn't see as justified? What does a black man gotta do or gotta show in order to be innocent? How much evidence do you need to be innocent? What do you gotta do? What do you have to present? What do you gotta do in order to be innocent? What they're telling you is there's nothing you can do. When we finger you, you're supposed to go down because this is not about guilt or innocence. This is about right and wrong. And I said that the way I meant. This is about right and wrong. And if we say you did it, you did it. Now, you all just heard her talk about the so-called evidence. But for those of you who are a bit younger, I want to show you about this bullcrap ass so-called evidence, and I want to put this in its proper context. You notice Megyn Kelly curiously didn't mention the single most important so-called witness in the case, Detective Mark Furman. Because O.J. Simpson didn't get off because of a pair of gloves. O.J. Simpson got off because the so-called lead detective who was investigating and saying, yeah, here's the physical evidence against you. Why, he had a long reputation. He had been caught on, recorded by an author he'd been talking about, yeah, we frame niggas, we beat niggas, they all niggas. And when Johnny Cochran's team actually did enough investigation to find out that that was real, then they started questioning Mark Furman. Now, what I'm going to do right now is play for you all. Oh, yes, for those of you who are younger, this is Detective Mark Furman getting on the stand during the O.J. Simpson trial. Fair use, YouTube. Fair use. And I'm going to damn sure use it. But since Megyn Kelly won't talk about it, and Caitlyn Jenner won't talk about it, and none of the other suspected white supremacists out there will talk about Mark Furman, all of a sudden they've all got amnesia 30 years later. He was the only one they want to talk about back then. All of a sudden now, they got amnesia about him. Let me play for you all, especially those of you who are under the age of 35, let me play for you what the jury heard when Johnny Cochran and them accused Mark Furman of being racist and accused him of planting evidence. This is Mark Furman when he took the stand.
Detective Furman, would you please resume the witness stand? All right, good afternoon, Detective.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
You're reminded, sir, that you were still under oath. Mr. Ullman, you may proceed.
Detective Furman, was the testimony that you gave in this case completely truthful?
I wish to assert my Fifth Amendment privilege.
What? Now, I want you all to think about something here for the young folks listening. If you got on the stand, if you were on trial and you got on the stand and the prosecuting attorney asked you, has your testimony been completely truthful? And your response was, I'd like to invoke my Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination. Now, can you imagine what they would be saying about your black ass if you were on the stand and the prosecutor asked you, did you tell us the truth the last time you were on the stand? And you said, I'd like to invoke my Fifth Amendment right. Now, the reason why I stopped it right there is for you to listen to that, but he goes on for a while with this.
Detective Furman, was the testimony that you gave in this case completely truthful?
I wish to assert my Fifth Amendment privilege.
Have you ever falsified a police report?
I wish to assert my Fifth Amendment privilege.
Is it your intention to assert your Fifth Amendment privilege with respect to all questions that I ask you?
Yes.
I only have one other question.
What was that, Mr.
Detective Furman, did you plant or manufacture any evidence in this case?
I assert my Fifth Amendment privilege.
Hey, Megyn Kelly, the bleach blonde bimbo. Why didn't you include that part in your piece? Because if I could get this, you certainly remembered it and you could have gotten it. You all just heard him outright be asked, did you plant any evidence?
Or manufacture any...
What was that, Mr.
Detective Furman, did you plant or manufacture any evidence in this case?
I assert my Fifth Amendment privilege.
Now, there's the lead detective being asked, did you plant any evidence did you plant or manufacture any evidence in this case? And he couldn't even say, no, I didn't, but I plead the fifth on everything else. So for those of you who are young, y'all got to understand, for those of us who are older, we got to make sure that we keep them up to code on this, up to speed on this, that we bring all the evidence and the documentation, because they will go back and try to do what they're doing in the history books for chattel slavery and tell you that it never happened. Take a look at how all the white supremacist bimbos out there, looking at you, Megyn Kelly, she knows about Mark Furman. She said she watched the trial, and yet all these decades later, she refuses to bring up Mark Furman's name. She told you that what you just heard was inconsequential, that was just a, quote, failing of the system, but it didn't change nothing. She talked about the so-called evidence, and you just heard lead detective Mark Furman tell you that he will not admit that he can't tell you truthfully that he didn't manufacture evidence. He was outright asked, did you manufacture in this evidence? I plead the fifth. It was after this that the jury was instructed to follow the law. And the law in a criminal case is that you must find the person guilty beyond the shadow. The real word, operative word there is shadow. Not beyond a reasonable doubt, but beyond even the shadow of a reasonable doubt. The jury actually did what a jury is supposed to do. This wasn't a shadow, this was damn me shade. He's literally being asked, sir, all the evidence that the jury has seen, did you manufacture or tamper with any of that evidence? I plead the fifth. But the nigga guilty, you know. Megyn Kelly said that after you heard that, you still supposed to think the nigga guilty. When the lead detective just told you, by the way, I'm the lead detective, I'm the one in charge of gathering the evidence, and did I manufacture evidence? I don't want to talk on that. I don't want to speak on that. Megyn Kelly, I don't see a problem here. Hell no, you wouldn't see a problem here. She would be sitting up there laughing at Emmett Till getting killed. Oh, well, you shouldn't have been walking down the street, Negro. Tell me why it is that I gotta play this, but none of these other people would go back and find the video of Mark Furman simply taking the stand and saying, I plead the fifth. If you ask me about the case, what I did that was why it was so important for O.J. Simpson's attorneys. Now, you notice they asked the first two questions, he pled the fifth, and then they asked, is it your intention to plead the fifth to everything? Let me go ahead and back it up one more time.
Find a police report.
I wish to assert my Fifth Amendment privilege.
Is it your intention to assert your Fifth Amendment privilege with respect to all questions that I ask you?
Yes.
Okay, well, he said yes to that. So for any of you wannabe lawyers out there who want to try to say, oh, well, he was going to say I plead the fifth to everything. He can't answer yes or no to anything. He answered yes to that. He answered yes to, I ain't going to say nothing but I plead the fifth. It's my intention to plead the fifth to everything. And I'm so glad that O.J. Simpson's attorneys actually had some competence, because they didn't let it go after that. They wanted the jury to know the reason we're stopping here is because he's going to plead the fifth to everything, but he just told you yes. So if he can answer yes to one question, he should certainly be able to answer no to another question. And when he was asked about his own credibility, did you plant or tamper with any evidence? He told you, yes, I'll plead the fifth. He can't even scrounge together the courage to say, no, I'm not, if whatever else happened, I didn't manufacture or plant evidence.
I only have one other question.
What was that, Mr.
Detective Furman, did you plant or manufacture any evidence in this case?
I assert my Fifth Amendment privilege.
His attorney told him, tell them yes, you're only going to answer the fifth. But when asked about, did you plant the evidence? Tell him I ain't going to say nothing. That was what the jury heard, and Megyn Kelly knows it, but white supremacy is shameless. And if I didn't bring this to you all tonight so you can hear Detective Mark Furman in his own words on the stand after all these decades, all these corporate media outlets, Twitter, Fox, and everybody else won't speak about Mark Furman. They keep leaving his name out, even though for those of us who lived through the trial, he was the most important witness. We were all there. He was the number one witness. It wasn't about a damn pair of gloves or a cut on OJ's hand. The lead detective said when he was asked, did you plant or manufacture evidence? He said, I plead the fifth. Don't ask me nothing. That was why O.J. Simpson was acquitted, because the person in charge of gathering the evidence against him could not even get on the stand and say, I'm not manufacturing evidence or planting evidence. They accused him of planting evidence, and he didn't do a thing to defend it. With his own lawyer sitting right there, standing right next to him. That's why you thought at the beginning that was Furman at the beginning. When you saw me at the beginning there, that's not Furman at the beginning. That's his lawyer standing right here. That's his lawyer. And I mean, his lawyer ain't even sitting in the audience. His lawyer is standing right next to him on the witness stand. All to tell him, don't say nothing. His lawyer said, I can't be no 10 feet away. I got to be 10 inches away. I'm right here. Don't you say a damn thing. And all these white supremacist corporate media outlets, why is it they having to stop to say, by the way, here's what happened when the detective who was in charge of gathering the evidence against him and making the case against him, the detective said, when he was asked, did you plant evidence? He said, oh, I plead the fifth. Now, if any of you listen to me right now, live or recorded, if you were put on trial tomorrow and you were asked by the prosecutors, did you hide the knife? Did you have any weapons to attack those people with? And you said, I plead fifth. Not no, not I don't recall, I plead the fifth. Have you ever stabbed somebody? Mr. Brown, I plead the fifth. Sir, have you ever, were you ever in a neighborhood wanting to stab someone? I plead the fifth. Can you imagine if any of you were on trial and that was your answer when you were asked about a crime? I plead, not, no, I didn't do it. I plead the fifth. Everybody in the courtroom would say, boy, I hope you love wearing stripes because you going to prison. In the chat room, you're correct. If the prosecutor asks you, are you on the stand lying right now? I plead the fifth. Did you ever stab your ex-wife? I plead the fifth. Sir, did you ever conspire with somebody to stab up your ex-wife and her friend? I plead the fifth. Is it your intention to plead the fifth to all these questions? Yes. One last question here. Did you stab your ex-wife? I plead the fifth. I have no more questions, Your Honor. Okay, am I free to go? You free to go to jail for this life sentence? You free to go there? That's what they would tell you. Yeah, you're free to go for this life sentence. Yeah, save us all a whole bunch of time. He gonna hop in the paddy wagon. He's free to go. Can you imagine that? If you said that anywhere at any time for any reason, that's what the hell they trying to get you to believe. If you said that. They telling you that's legit. And they've left all that out. So understand, for those of you who are coming along later, I want you to understand what you're dealing with. They're not telling the young people this. The folk in their 30s and 20s, they hear about OJ and they hear Megyn Kelly's lying, duplicitous, deceitful, backstabbing ass tell them all the evidence clearly showed that OJ was guilty. And yet you know she's a freaking liar because she mentioned Kato Kalin. She mentioned everybody except Mark Furman. She wouldn't mention Mark Furman's name because when you say, by the way, what did Furman do? He got on the stand and said, when he was asked, did you plant evidence? I can't talk about it. Can't say nothing about it. He didn't even have the decency to be able to say, no, I didn't plant any evidence. Get me off this stand. He didn't even have the decency to say, I didn't plant the evidence. Now get me off this damn stand. He just said, I plead the fifth to everything. Everything. Then they come back 30 years later and tell you all the evidence was against OJ. All the witnesses were against OJ. Everything was against OJ except the prosecution's lead witness. Mark Furman was their lead witness and he got demolished. To the shameful extent that he couldn't even tell you, I didn't plant the evidence that I found on OJ. This is beyond gaslighting. This is just outright propaganda and lying. We passed gaslighting way back there. And if I didn't show this evidence and if I didn't show this footage, everybody in their 30s and 20s would be like, well, that's the problem right there. Y'all just believe everything. Y'all believe all them black radicals on YouTube and they just be saying all kinds of great stuff right here. Until we got to be the ones to teach them. This is why we are the black media. Because if they're listening to Megyn Kelly or Fox News or CNN or MSNBC, they're not mentioning Mark Furman over there. They ain't mentioning Mark Furman over there. If we don't mention Mark Furman, they're going to want his name to be lost to history. They want his name to be lost to the annals of history. And then you just believe OJ is guilty because we white and we say so.
Speak about it. Talk about it. Let it be known.
Want to know who's angry about it? Take a look over here. Yahoo News from 8 years ago. Take a look at the headline. Now, you all just heard the evidence from Mark Furman. You just heard the testimony from Mark Furman. And this is what they saying on here. This was then back in 2016. Just 20 years after the events. How Detective Mark Furman may have helped O.J. Simpson get away with murder. So they're not blaming Mark Furman for planting evidence and manufacturing evidence. They're blaming him. Well, O.J. still did it. They heard the exact same thing that you all just heard, and they're still standing behind Mark Furman. So what that tells you is this ain't about the evidence. This is about the accusation. This is supposed to be a paperwork process in America when you black. Well, Jason, now here's where things get diabolical. I want you all to listen very carefully because here's where things get diabolical. Because some of you will be telling yourselves, especially for you young folk here, you can have folks trying to throw red herrings at you. Some of these people will try that. And I want you to understand how to dissect this properly in the context of the American so-called justice and court system. I want you to understand what that really is. For those of you who suspect that they were killed by other people, and I'm one of those people, that Nicole Brown and Mark Furman were killed by other folk, what you would naturally be inclined to say is, well, Jason, no matter what happens, they don't want to just pin this on the wrong guy. Number one, it's not just, and number two, the real killers are still walking around out there somewhere. So they have absolutely no incentive to want to pin this on O.J. Simpson. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Number one, that's how you do black men in America. When you've been famous for a while, that's the cruel joke of America, is we let you diddy bob around, but eventually we gonna come back and claw back the wealth. We gonna pin something on you because that's what we do. You are guilty. If you're not guilty of murder, you're guilty of unforgivable blackness. If you are not guilty of murder, you are certainly guilty of unforgivable blackness. You've been sitting up here laying up on top of white women your whole damn life. Plus, she said you smacked her up once and you got away with that. I'll be damned. You are guilty of blackness. Hold this 30-year sentence, nigga. Every black male in here knows when you walk into a damn courtroom, you're not on trial for murder. You're not on trial for rape. You're not on trial for theft. You're on trial for being black. You are on trial for being black, and we're going to see if your blackness outweighs our lies. Or if your blackness outweighs the truth. You're on trial for being black. But Jason, okay, even if you believe that, they wouldn't want the other killers running around out there free. So even if you could get OJ, why would they allow the other killers to walk around out there free? Folks, that's the way the police departments work. As far as a detective or the police like Mark Furman are concerned, whoever it was that killed Nicole, they gonna eventually catch them. Because they're going to go either kill somebody else or they're going to find evidence to convict them in the case of somebody they've already killed. Just like the mafia.
Damn, bro.
They don't worry about the mafiosos because they know we'll eventually be able to go get them. So if we're going to go get OJ because this will be our only chance to convict him of anything. And then after we get him in prison, okay, what about the real killers? Eventually their numbers will come up. Their numbers will come up. Their numbers will come up. We'll run into them. They're going to kill somebody else later. They're going to go get mobbed up. They're going to go rub somebody out. They're going to go commit another crime later. We going to get another crack at them. We ain't never going to get another crack at OJ. We got to get OJ now. But the folks who really did the killing, they'll be back. A killing this brutal, this gruesome. Oh, they do this all the time. They'll be back. They'll be back. We'll get them later. We gotta get OJ now. Take a look on your screen at Detective Mark Furman. Does that look like the face of a guy who would let two killers off so he can lock up one of those niggers? Does he look like the kind of guy who would let two killers walk and say, don't worry, we'll come back and get them later? They'll do another crime somewhere else. We'll come back and get them some other time. Does he look like the kind of cat who'd do that? Does he look like the kind of fellow who would do that? If I wasn't sitting here giving you all a reminder about who Mark Furman was and how he was critical and pivotal to the O.J. Simpson trial, Megyn Kelly and the rest of them on CNBC, CNN, MSNBC, all the rest of your so-called liberal networks, and they ain't bringing up Mark Furman. They're not talking about the guy who broke the case. And you heard what the jury just heard. Now, that was what the jury heard back in 1994, was it? What would a jury say today? If a cop got on the stand today and he was on trial, if the lead detective prosecuting P. Diddy, sir, did you plant or manufacture any evidence? I plead the fifth. Did you pay off Cassie to lie? I plead the fifth. Did you gather all these other people to lie in their testimony against Mr. Carter? P. Diddy? Oh, his name is slipping me. Sean Combs. Did you gather all these people to lie on him? I plead the fifth. What would be said today? What would they be say? What would you say today if Officer Daniel Pentalio, Officer Darren Wilson, Officer Dante Servin, if they were on the stand today and their response, did you say that Tamir Rice, I'm going to gun the little nigger down? I plead the fifth. Have you ever threatened to shoot young black children? I plead the fifth. Did you ever tell your partner, I wish I could shoot some niggers? I plead the fifth.
Talk about it.
Did you ever target practice with little dolls of black children? I plead the fifth.
Speak about it, brother. Speak about it.
Not in 1995, but 2025. If we were playing this audio today for a trial today, for the NYPD today, for the LAPD today, and the lead detective or the killer cop was on the stand, and when you asked him, did you mean to shoot them folks? I plead the fifth. Have you ever threatened to shoot unarmed black people? I plead the fifth. Can you imagine what social media would be doing or saying today? He would simply be the most infamous police officer in the history of law enforcement. If this were happening in 2024 and not 1994, he would be the most infamous police officer in the history of American law. And Megyn Kelly told you that that don't matter. Nothing going on here. What you talking about, Willis? Let me tell y'all right now, every single one of you, if you committed a crime, let me get the thumbs up emoji. If you committed a crime, wouldn't you want the damn lead detective to get on the stand when they said, sir, have you framed the defendant? I plead the fifth. Sir, did you plant evidence on the defendant? I plead the fifth. Okay. Sir, did you lie on my client? I plead the fifth. Man, you would think your lawyer was damn me, Perry Mason and Johnny Cochran rolled up into one.
Keeps going on. You'd
be like, I got the best damn attorney that ever walked out of a law office cafeteria.
3 damn times.
That's what you'd be saying.
Just say it once.
You'd be saying that. If you were on trial and your lawyer was able to get the lead detective trying to prosecute you, that he got the lead detective to say that, man, look here. You'll be sitting up calling your kinfolk talking about, yeah, I'm going to be home this evening. Oh, don't worry. The trial is going to be over today. Baby, how do you know? Trust me. The trial is about to be over. You can go ahead and start making some grits. You make some cheese grits. I'm going to be home this evening. The only reason I wouldn't be home this evening is if I can't catch a cab. I'm going to be home tonight. I don't know about the police officer up here. I don't know where he going after he got off the stand, but me, I'm going to be home tonight. Oh, trust and believe. If any of you were on trial and your attorney was able to get the damn lead detective to say that right there, you'd be like, oh, no, I'm gone. That's it. Oh, I'm out. Oh, the trial is over today. No doubt about it. Hell, I can bring the damn bloody knife into the court now. Hell, I ain't got to sit up here and keep hiding that damn thing. Yeah, I can go ahead and bring the bloody knife in now. Yeah, buddy. Sure can. I can bring the bloody knife up in here. The bloody knife, the shoes. Hell, the real pair of gloves that I did it with. Now, I can bring the real pair of gloves now. I'm about to go home. I'm about to go home. How you gonna do that? I'm gonna be dancing out the courtroom. Whoop that trick. Whoop that trick. Stab that trick. So I'm going home today. No, mama, you didn't hear what the man said on the stand. You ain't heard it yet. When you hear it, you're gonna be like, oh, what y'all still hold me here for? Judge, let's go ahead and get this verdict now. That's what the hell you would be saying if that was you. Okay, you just heard Mark Furman say it, and Megyn Kelly, after all these decades, and all these other folks, are trying to tell you that what you just heard would not have swayed, shouldn't have swayed the jury. They're telling you that what you just heard Mark Furman say, that shouldn't have swayed the jury at all. You just hear Mark Furman say, yes, I would plant evidence. Now put this nigga in jail. If that's not I'm white and I say so, what in the hell is? The man just got on the stand and said, I plead the fifth to any questions about me planting evidence. And Megyn Kelly said, oh, well, that's just a contrivance. Go ahead and lock him up anyway. What evidence do you have to convict OJ when the guy who gathered all the evidence just told you, by the way, don't ask me if I plant evidence? My response will be, I plead the fifth. That's what the hell he just sat there and told you. Just ignore everything else. Tell me what kind of what is the actual evidence against him if you say him, by the way, and ignore the detective who gathered the evidence? Just ignore him altogether. Just ignore him. That's what she just said. I don't give a damn what the evidence is. Convict that nigga. This is 30 years later. So what does this tell you? This tells you that this is not about O.J. Simpson. That's what it tells you. This is about a nigga that made it too far, smiled too much, and was gripping too many white women on the butt cheeks. And he had too many white women smiling. O.J. Simpson's offense was he made too many white women smile. And they sitting up here laughing in your face in the dominant society. They're like, yeah, well, we gonna get your ass one day, nigga. We gonna get you. Every time you got a black male who sits up here in Florenstat and whatnot, and he's just like, okay, let's just do it like that, they come for you. O.J. Simpson, Michael Jackson, Cuba Gooding, Tiger Woods. If you a black male and you done made it your thing to have white women around you and you just doing as you please, they gonna make a list, put your name on it and be like, okay, we're gonna check back in with you. Eventually, something gonna happen that we can go ahead and grab you for, but we'll be damned if you gonna set a precedent like that right there. O.J. Simpson made it too far. He made them smile too much. And to add insult to injury, when O.J. Simpson got done with the trial, the first thing he did was go find him a little young white thing for him to go ahead and see about snuggling up with. By the way, for the young kids out there who don't remember, how many of y'all remember when they tried to indict O.J. Simpson, they tried to arrest him a second time? Remember? How many of y'all remember that? Oh, for the young folks out there, you don't know that, by the way, they were desperate to get O.J. Remember? They were trying to pin a second one on him, remember? Remember when that happened there? That he had his girlfriend, remember that? Remember that? How many of y'all remember that one?
White supremacy.
O.J. Simpson, remember, had a girlfriend after that?
Monitoring me right there.
Remember about that one? Yeah! Why, remember she turned up missing for a little while. Remember? This was right fresh off the damn murder trial, and he had a girlfriend, a white chick, and lo and behold, oh, she disappears. She disappeared. Oh, no. I didn't bring receipts. I brought invoices. I didn't bring receipts, people. I brought invoices. I ain't telling you what you paid. I'm telling you what you know. Let me go ahead and bring this to you here from Fox News. By the way, take a look on your screens. For those of you under the age of 35, understand something. They were going back to go try to get him again. This says police. Simpson's ex-girlfriend isn't missing. Nose of dead cat. Dateline, Miami. O.J. Simpson's ex-girlfriend is not missing and has been notified by her apartment manager that police found her dead cat in her home, police said Wednesday. The apartment manager at the Towers, where Christine Proddy lives, told police he saw her after the cat was found by police and told her what happened. She told the manager that she had been out of town for about a month. They said, we found your dead cat. Your cat was dead in your apartment. She told the manager, oh yeah, I've been out of town for a month. Police said that the cat probably starved to death. Probably. So do you know what that means? That means they said probably because they still were trying to figure out a way to pin this on OJ. So they said the cat probably starved to death. They were desperate for anything. Can we pin OJ with a cruelty to damn me animals charge? Can we do anything? So they were looking at O.J. Simpson. Quote, there's no missing person, Jimenez said. Miss Proddy has been seen prior to and after the incident. O.J. is not involved. This is strictly an animal abuse case. Proddy was cited for one count of animal cruelty, a first-degree misdemeanor carrying a $500 fine. She left the damn cat to die. She said the police believe the cat died of starvation, but was too decomposed for a necropsy. People, please understand, O.J. Simpson had to get his lawyers involved. O.J. Simpson was being questioned about this woman. He was being questioned. And look down here at the bottom. Simpson was acquitted in 1995 in Los Angeles of murdering his ex-wife. Was found later liable for their deaths in a lawsuit. In October, a Miami-Dade jury acquitted Simpson of burglary and battery charges stemming from a December 2000 altercation with another motorist. They kept going at him. 1995, civil case. 2000, 2005. They kept going at 2002. Then 2008, they kept going at him everywhere he was. Los Angeles, Miami, Las Vegas. And if I wasn't here and if I didn't remember all of this, to the young folk in here under the age of 35, they would have no idea that this was going on the whole time. Please do not be deceived by this headline. O.J. Simpson's lawyers were contacted. His lawyers were having to answer questions about his, quote, missing girlfriend. Remember, they're trying to smooth it over here, but she said, I've been out of town for a month. Out of town for a month. Her parents said they couldn't get a hold of her. The apartment complex, we couldn't get a hold of her. Nobody could get a hold of her, and they went looking for OJ. They did not go looking for her. They went looking for OJ. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Not in Las Vegas, or literally on the other side of the continent in Florida. They were after his ass. And this is a system of white supremacy. They were as eager and desperate to convict him in Florida as they were in California, and then they eventually got him in Las Vegas. Couldn't get Tupac's killer, but we got OJ. The news, insight, and analysis you'll receive absolutely nowhere else. And you better ask yourself, why is it that Joy Reid and the rest of these folks aren't going down the list of these things the way I just did. Why didn't they bring up Mark Furman? Why didn't they bring up his girlfriend when they were trying to get him for, oh, you know, she's missing. Where were you at, OJ? When your girlfriend is missing. They went to go find him. They admit they didn't even go looking for her. They went looking for him. Do not believe this article. This article is spin and a lie. For those of us who were there, you remember OJ's lawyers had to address the press to say, OJ Simpson, he doesn't know anything about this. Because they were questioning him. Now, if this was just a big old misunderstanding out of Los Angeles, explain to me how in the hell this man remained in the crosshairs for a decade and a half later. Anything suspicious happened around him, they went to work trying to figure out how they could tie him into it. And then they just got caught shamelessly here. His girlfriend left her cat in the damn place. What are the realistic chances that it's been 3 or 4 weeks and she's missing and the cat is dead in the apartment? You know, O.J. Simpson probably strangled the cat. You know, nigger rage. Y'all do know that was what they were saying, right? O.J. Simpson, he just kills to kill. He's on the crime spree. He just kills to kill. He murders to murder. Why? He's been sitting on the rage for so long. Now he's with the girlfriend. He's killed her. This time he didn't just kill the man and the woman. He killed the woman and the cat. He couldn't just go ahead and leave. He killed her and the cat. Murder them all. This is what they were saying, people. And why is it that I have to bring all of this to you 30 years later? Why is it that all these news outlets didn't put everything I just said to you together in a nice, neat little package? That's their job. And yet they didn't do it because they're hoping that you'll forget. Because when I remind you of the insane lengths that these people went to get OJ, then all of a sudden it becomes short work to believe the insane lengths that they'll go to get you or some other black person. This isn't out of the ordinary. How does a black man get to be innocent in a system like this? What do you have to do to be innocent in a system like this? You literally got the lead detective getting up on the stand admitting, by the way, I can plant evidence, and they said that still ain't enough. You need more than that. The person in charge of gathering the evidence can't even get on the stand and say, I would never plant evidence. And they're saying, you call that proof? You call that proof? And sitting here telling you and me we need to just roll with it. Ain't no problem. Y'all niggas need to just roll with it is the real issue. If you just go along with it, don't sit up here and talk about no damn justice. Justice is whatever in the hell we say it is, whenever in the hell we say it is. So for those of you who have spent the last 20 years, if you're younger, hearing folks talk about O.J. Simpson and never putting that trial in its proper context, there's a reason that they don't come at us older folks like that. They don't come at us like that because we were there, and we gonna say, what about Mark Furman? And Megyn Kelly showed how guilty she was. She didn't even mention Detective Furman. Now, how is it that a woman who sat there and just bragged to you about being a lawyer and she didn't say anything about the top cop involved in it? She talked about the evidence, but didn't say a word about the cop who was required to gather that evidence? She's looking less and less like a suspected white supremacist. And all of a sudden, the suspicion, it looked like there's not a whole lot of suspicion going on. However, you might disagree. Therefore, the telephone lines are now open, And the number is 646-787-1933. That's 646-787-1933. Your personal access code to the Blackest Radio program in existence. And, of course, the anchorman of the new black media. You are, of course, welcome to join us. Before we do here, I want to thank everyone who has contributed to support tonight's program on PayPal, Super Chat, Venmo, all points in between. Shout out here to my man, Mr. Richburg, as always. Thank you very much for your support, brother. We appreciate that. My man, Mark B., thank you very much here as well. Keandra, thank you very much. Bruce and everybody else here. We got my folks here in the Super Chat. I want to thank all of y'all here as well here. W1 Chucky Woo, Bruce Warren, my girl Andrea Roberson, thank you very much for your support. All the new members here tonight. For those of you, like I say, the ability to be a member is down there as well. I want to thank all of you also. Black Voltron, thank you very much. We're going to take a very brief commercial, non-commercial break. When we come back, the phone lines are open. This is the Black Channel.
Hello, my name is Steve Burgess. I'm the author of this book, Guidelines for the Successful Student, a closer look at parenting your school-age child. In this book, I've explained the role of the parent and the student in addition to what accommodations, procedures,
so I'll let y'all check that out. It's Jason Black with the Black Authority. I gotta let my phone
primary to high school.
charge
this
up
book is available
so I can utilize it.
For more information,
Of
please
course,
visit
the
my
part
link
where
tree,
they ask
Easy101.
questions
And to access my latest
and he
podcast,
debates
A
back and
Teaching
forth, you
Moment.
can go look it up yourself.
Thank you all for
It's
listening.
live right now. Jason Black, the Black Authority,
A white supremacist
or
assassin
Jason
seeks
Black,
revenge.
the business.
Corrupt
He's
FBI
live
agents
on
with evil
YouTube right
intentions.
now.
Dangerous black
So I'm
collaborators
gonna go ahead and get
dedicated
off
to
of
treason.
here. The gist
Occam
of it
Jeffers
is on
must
there,
defeat
so
them all and
I'll
somehow
let y'all
survive.
later throughout
One
the
misstep
night.
and he's a dead man. Join Occam Jeffers as he looks the devil in his blue eyes and tells him, black